Don't block her, don't delete her, don't unfollow, don't send a long goodbye text, and don't explode in your emotions trying to prove how hurt you are. Just vanish. No words, no tantrums, no dramatics, just pure, intentional silence. And I know, right now, your heart wants to scream. You want her to see what she did to you. You want her to feel the pain you're drowning in. You want her to know that her silence has weight, that her indifference has consequences, and that her walking away isn't just another day in your life. It tore something open. And I get it. I really do. But blocking her is not strength. It's not power. It's noise. It's a cry for attention disguised as control. And deep down, you know it. Because if you were truly done, you wouldn't need to make it loud. You wouldn't need to make it visible. You'd just leave. See, silence isn't weakness. Silence is terrifying. It leaves space. It forces her to sit with the unknown, to wonder what you're thinking, to imagine the worst. And women, whether they admit it or not, are emotionally wired to feel most deeply when they don't know. When you block her, you give her closure. You give her certainty. You hand her the power to say, okay, he's done. I can move on. But when you disappear without a sound, you haunt the silence. You become the question she can't answer. And that question grows. It festers. It pulls at her curiosity, her guilt, her regret, even if she was the one who left. Now listen closely. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about trying to manipulate her or get her to chase you. This is about reclaiming your center, your discipline, your inner peace. Blocking her is external. Walking away in silence, that's internal power. That's you saying, I don't need her to see my pain for it to be real. I don't need her acknowledgement to heal. And that's when the shift happens. The moment you stop trying to signal your value and start living it, when you stop explaining what she lost and start becoming the kind of man that doesn't need to speak to be felt. There's a quiet kind of authority in that, a presence that lingers. Think about the men you admire, the ones who command respect without shouting, the ones who don't post emotional rants or block women just to send a message. They move on without a word, and their silence says more than 1,000 texts ever could. Because here's the truth, if she hurt you and you still want her to see how much pain she caused, you're still seeking validation. You're still hoping she cares. But when you reach a point where her understanding no longer matters, when your peace is no longer tied to her presence, you've won. Not because she came back, but because you did. Because let's be honest, you lost yourself chasing her. You lost sleep. You lost focus. You overanalyzed texts, replayed conversations, questioned your worth. And for what? For a love that didn't stay. For someone who couldn't see your value when it was right in front of her. You think blocking her will make you feel in control, but it won't. It will just remind you that you needed to do something loud to feel heard. But true confidence doesn't shout. It doesn't explain. It walks calmly, quietly, with unwavering purpose. There is something terrifying to a woman when a man who once gave her everything, his time, his effort, his emotions, suddenly offers nothing. No explanation, no last words, just the quiet storm of absence. That's what leaves a mark. Blocking her might make you feel better for an hour, but vanishing, letting her feel the weight of your silence, that's the kind of presence that echoes for months. And here's the real kicker. When you block her, you're not just closing the door for her, you're closing it for yourself too. You're not healing, you're reacting. You're building walls instead of growing roots. But when you walk away without a word, you're not cutting her off, you're setting yourself free. You stop checking her stories, you stop looking for signs, you stop replaying what could have been, because you understand something deeper now. Love that needs to be forced isn't love, it's fear, it's ego, it's insecurity in a pretty disguise, and you're done with that. You don't chase people who confuse you, you don't beg someone to see your worth, you become the man who no longer waits to be chosen. You choose yourself, you choose your peace, your growth, your dignity, and not in a loud, performative way, not by announcing it on social media or throwing shade in passive-aggressive posts. You do it quietly, you build in silence, you grow in the shadows, and then one day you step out, not as the man she forgot, but as the man she no longer deserves. The kind of man whose absence hurts more than his presence ever did. That's the power of discipline. That's what detachment really looks like. You see, emotional discipline isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about channeling them. It's about feeling everything deeply, but responding from a place of strength, not weakness. You can love her, you can miss her, but you don't need to act on those emotions. You let them burn quietly, and you use the fire to rebuild. That's what separates boys from men. A boy blocks her because he wants her to see his pain. A man simply moves on because he values his peace more than her attention. And she will feel it. Trust me, she will. Not immediately maybe, but one day, in the middle of her scrolling, or lying awake at night, or during some random moment, it will hit her. The silence, the absence, the weight of what she lost. And she'll wonder, why didn't he block me? Why didn't he lash out? Why did he just vanish? And that question will echo, because the human mind craves closure, it craves certainty, and you gave her neither. Not to hurt her, but to free yourself. You took your power back. So no, don't block her, don't mute her, don't text her some poetic speech about healing. Just walk. Let your absence be your closure. Let your silence be your answer. And let your growth be the only revenge you ever need. Because when you finally stop waiting for her to come back, when you stop imagining the reunion, when you stop needing her to regret losing you, you start becoming dangerous. You become the kind of man who doesn't fear solitude, who doesn't need validation, who walks with a peace that no woman gave him and therefore no woman can take away. And ironically, that's when they usually come back. But by then, you won't care, because you'll have met someone else. Not another woman, not a rebound. You'll have met yourself, and he's the one who was missing all along. You just forgot. Now remember, and never lose him again. The silence you hold now, it's not empty. It's full of everything you've been through. Every moment you overgave. Every time you stayed when you should have walked. Every night you wondered if you were enough. And now, finally, that silence has become your strength. You're not blocking her because you're angry. You're not disappearing to make her miss you. You're choosing distance because that's where your clarity lives. That's where you remember who you were before the confusion, before the need for her validation, before you wrapped your worth around how much attention she gave you. And if you're still healing, if there's still that voice inside wondering what more you could have done, just know this: you did enough. You loved with depth. You showed up. You gave more than most would. But now it's your turn to show up for yourself. That's the moment your life starts to change. When you finally stop chasing people who can't love you back in the way you deserve. When you stop explaining your heart to someone who is never trying to understand it. And if you need something to hold on to in the silence, something to keep you grounded when your emotions try to pull you back into old habits, I put together a guide that speaks directly to that moment. It's called How to Stop Chasing Love and Make Them Chase You. It's not fluff, it's not games, it's a mindset shift, one that breaks the cycle of overgiving, overthinking, and undervaluing yourself. You'll find a link in the description if you're ready for that step, but whether you read it or not, know this: your power was never in convincing her to stay. It was always in your ability to let go, gracefully, quietly, without burning bridges or sending paragraphs. Just a calm, dignified exit that says, I know who I am now, and I'll never forget again.